Welcome to MindShifters Radio. I'm Tim Hayes. I'm your host for the first hour. And today is Thursday, March 25th, 2021. As always, we're grateful to everyone who's joining us here today, whether you're listening live or listening through the archives, as we spend another couple of hours teaching and supporting people in using some of the most powerful, effective, efficient, and accessible tools I've ever encountered in my over 46 years of doing therapy. These tools are gratefully available absolutely free at whyagain.org. If you go to that website and click on the red and white bullseye or the link in the upper left-hand corner of most pages that says Start Here, it will take you to a page where you can download and read Chapter 24 of Dr. Michael Rice's book. His book is titled, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? That chapter of the book contains a narrative description of the primary tool in this work. That tool is called the Reality Management Worksheet, sometimes called the Reality Management Wake Up Sheet. I'm told you can actually download the entire book if you're that interested, but we encourage people to start with reading that chapter and then downloading the actual worksheet process itself. It's a PDF file. Just click download it, print it off, use it as often as you'd like. You can also download a whole host of audio files of shows just like this one that contain recordings of people who've called the Internet show and either asked for support in doing a worksheet process or understanding the dynamics of it or giving testimonials about how the active application of that tool has had a dramatically positive impact on their life. You can also go to your app store. And thanks to Jeannie's tireless efforts, you can download a completely free and private app if you type in the three words Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness on either the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. And before you're done typing the word forgiveness, you will see the glowing heart icon. If you download that, it'll give you access to this completely free and private app that contains the Reality Management Worksheet in its current version, 7 steps, an abbreviated version of that process, and a copy of the Dragon Klingon game. And I say that that's a wonderful way to introduce even younger audiences to these tools. So we hope you do that, and then give us a call with comments or questions. Our call-in number is 563-999-3581. If you call that number and press 1, it'll put a little question mark by your phone number, and I'll announce you by your area code, and we'll have a discussion. We're also doing the Course in Miracles workbook lessons this year, and today is the 84th day of the year in terms of our calendar. And Lesson 84 is another review lesson. It's reviewing Lesson 67 and Lesson 68. Lesson 67 reads, Love created me like itself. I am in the likeness of my Creator. I cannot suffer, I cannot experience loss, and I cannot die. I am not a body. I would recognize my reality as this today. I will worship no idols, nor raise my own self-concept to replace my true self. I am in the likeness of my Creator. Love created me like itself. Then it says, you might find these specific forms of that thought helpful in applying this idea. Let me not see an illusion of myself in this situation or in these negative thoughts today. Let me not see an illusion of myself in this situation. As I look on this situation today, let me remember my Creator. My Creator did not create this the way I'm seeing it. So those are suggested specific forms of the thought that love created me like itself. Lesson 68 says, love holds no grievances. Grievances are completely alien to love. Grievances attack love and keep its light obscure. If I hold grievances, I'm attacking love, and therefore attacking myself, my true self. My true self thus becomes alien to me. I am determined not to attack my true self today so that I can remember the truth of who I am. Here are some specific forms of applying that idea, some specific forms of thought to apply that idea. There is no justification for denying my true self, and I will not use this current situation and my thoughts about it to attack love. Let this not tempt me to attack myself as love. So that's from the workbook. And now here's Pam Grout's idea. She has a book titled The Course in Miracles Experiment, a Starter Kit for Rewiring Your Mind. And her chapter 84 is titled Namaste, My Ass. She quotes Mae West, I used to be Snow White, but I drifted. Pam writes, I cannot suffer, I cannot experience loss. Who I truly am cannot die. And the song title she recommends is I Got a Feeling by the Black Eyed Peas. Dr. Michael Shermer, a professor and public intellectual who writes a monthly column for Scientific American, is so wary of all things, quote, supernatural, close quote, that in 1992 he started a quarterly journal with the stated aim of debunking fads and cultural influences on science. It's even called Skeptic Magazine. This avowed atheist once debated the existence of God with Deepak Chopra on Nightline, which is why I love the following story so darn much. In the summer of 2014, Michael Shermer married Jennifer Graf from Cologne, Germany. During the shipping of her belongings to his home in California, boxes were damaged, heirlooms were lost. An old transistor radio that belonged to Jennifer's beloved grandfather, Walter, successfully made the journey. Walter had been Jennifer's only father figure and had died when she was 16. Michael, knowing how much it would mean, attempted to resurrect the radio after decades of silence. He changed the batteries, searched for loose connections, and even tried what he called percussive maintenance, meaning smacking it against a hard surface. He finally gave up, and Jennifer stuck it in the back drawer of their bedroom. In their bedroom. On the day they exchanged rings and said their vows in front of his family, Jennifer, 6,000 miles from home, was feeling nostalgic and wishing her grandfather could be there to give her away. After the ceremony, she motioned to Michael, said she needed to speak to him alone. She quietly whispered, "There's music coming from the bedroom." Since they didn't have a music system in the bedroom, they searched for errant laptops and iPhones. They even checked the back door to see if their neighbors had unexpectedly scheduled a party. Michael wrote in Scientific American, quote, "Suddenly, Jennifer shot me a look I haven't seen since the supernatural thriller The Exorcist," close quotes. "That can't be what I think it is," she says. "Can it?" They opened the desk drawer, and sure enough, her grandfather's transistor was playing a romantic love song. The radio continued to play throughout their wedding day. They finally fell asleep to classical music emanating from Walter's radio. It stopped working the next day and has remained mute ever since. And while famous skeptic Michael Shermer said he'd never have believed such a story if he'd heard it from someone else, he admitted that, quote, the eerie conjunction of these deeply evocative events rocked him back on his feet and shook his skepticism to its core. And that's what I'd call a miracle. That a long-time upholder of scientific orthodoxy was willing to publicly share a revelation that contradicts his aggressively argued position of many years. To actually suggest that science may not be the only road to truth after all, that it might not offer the definitive and complete view of reality. As Schirmer says, quote, we should not shut the doors of perception when they may be opened to us to marvel in the mysterious, close quotes. So, that's our lesson 84, and that's our added material from the Course in Miracles experiment by Pam Grout. And we have 47 minutes left to have a conversation, to discuss what's on your mind, to work through a worksheet, or help you frame one out, or discuss the results you've gotten with a Reality Management Worksheet, or the targeted journaling tool that Michael calls the MindShifter, or anything else that might have come up in the past 10 years that we've done this show 5 days a week. Our call-in number is 563-999-3581. If you call that number and press 1, we will have a conversation. How can we support you? What's on your mind? What's of interest for you today? Area code 808, you're in the air. Who do we have?
Mark.
All right, hold on just a minute. Say that again.
Mark.
All right, Mark,
can
how can we support you today?
I called yesterday about eating addiction, and you gave me some notes, and so I did a sheet, and so I just wanted to go over the sheet to see if I followed the instructions right. So yesterday you had said that addiction is a compulsive use of anything to numb my pain, and you said one of the, goals is to prevent highest guidance, and that maybe a new goal is to be shown a different awareness of my mind, I think, for the last part, if I took the notes correctly. So in my worksheet, I used as the topic, so I think that I'm upset because some situation or person or my trigger, food, overeating, my initials, causes me to feel bad and takes me out of my loving mind frame. Describe your situation that causes your pain. I overeat to numb my pain and prevent highest guidance. About the situation, I feel hopeless, tired, and sad. The thought that causes me to have this feeling is I'm a spiritual failure. I want to punish myself or my trigger by eating or cheating. And then I have a slightly older worksheet. Is there a repeating behavioral or family pattern? And the family pattern is food equals love. How does that sound?
So you say you have an older worksheet. How many steps are on that worksheet?
11. I think.
Okay.
I have so many worksheets. I think some of it was a rephrased old Michael sheet that's no longer available.
So how have you ended up with a whole series of older worksheets? Where are you getting these from?
They were on the website years ago, and
so
some I
what I'd like to do is help you have this be relevant.
Okay.
And so if we stay focused, in the current 7-step worksheet, it specifies your name, and it reminds you that you are this energy of love expressing its form. And then it asks you what emotion you're aware of. What emotion did you identify in this worksheet?
So I guess the first emotion would be the hopelessness.
Okay. Most people find they get better results if they leave hopelessness as a thought. And when I think the situation is hopeless, how do I feel? Do I feel angry? Do I feel sad? Do I feel
angry?
Numb? Okay. All right. And then what I wrote was you've made the trigger here be the food, right?
Yeah.
But the trigger is not really the food. The food isn't causing the problem in your life. It's either someone who's done or said something that you take exception to, or it's yourself for using the food as a drug.
And
so
myself.
which would be, you want to make it yourself? So this is a worksheet on Mark.
Yeah. Right.
And what Mark does is he uses food to, how did you say that?
To numb my pain and prevent my highest guidance. So I took whatever you had said last time.
Okay.
Although I agree with numb my pain.
But you said something as you were describing what you'd written in your worksheet.
I overeat to numb my pain and prevent my highest guidance? Or you mean the preamble to where you fill in the blanks?
That's good enough. So you overeat to numb your pain.
Yeah.
And then the thought that you said is, I'm a spiritual failure. What we're looking for is, what's the thought that generates the emotion of anger? So when you think the thought, I'm a spiritual failure, do you get angry at yourself?
Yeah.
And then you want to punish yourself by, what did you say, continuing to eat?
Eating or cheating.
Cheating on what, a diet, or cheating in a different way?
Yeah, just eating things I know I'm not supposed to.
Okay.
They're not in my highest interest, right? Like, I'll just have this, and then you're back to square one, right?
Okay, so the key, whichever worksheet you're using, the key pieces that will be the same, basically, from one worksheet to another, are the fact that we recognize that this is all about me, even though my mind is showing me it's about somebody else, that there's an emotion that I'm generating, and in this case it's anger, that there's a dynamic going on in my life that I think looks like I'm overeating to numb pain and hide my highest guidance. That I'm using a thought to generate my anger, like I am a spiritual failure.
Right.
And then when we're doing this work with people in the support groups and things, we suggest that they read every word on the worksheet, whichever one it is, because the words are in there to help us remember how we've been conditioned to believe that people and things outside of us create our emotions and are responsible for our perception, when in truth, our perception is strictly internal, it's unique to each one of us, and is created out of our own thoughts. Is that phrase on your worksheet?
Yeah, it was at the top in the intro. So, my reality is made of thoughts from my own mind. As I learn to change my thoughts based in fear or hostility, I access the reality from a loving part of my mind. Yeah, so I didn't say that. You're right.
So the first, on this 7-step, the current one, the first 3 steps are about mapping out what my mind is doing to create this perception that someone or something outside of me is causing my upset, or that I'm causing my upset. And then reconnecting, with my willingness to remember that I am this miracle of creation expressing in form. Remember that this energy of love. And then map out, what is my mind telling me needs to happen for me to be safe or happy or contented again? And that's the goal. Now, in the worksheet that you're working on, my hunch is that in those older 11-step worksheets, the goal was probably in step 5. Is that where it is?
Yes, step 6.
All right.
That was.
So what did you write as your
6,
goal?
I want peace, safety, sanity.
Okay. So I would first assist you, because that might be the eventual outcome that you hope happens, but I would assist you in restructuring your goal so that it more specifically lines up with your anger, the fact that you overeat to numb out pain and hide your highest guidance, and your thought that you're a spiritual failure. So what would it be? What would have to happen? It doesn't matter how pie-in-the-sky, Pollyannish, or overly optimistic it might be, but what would have to happen in order for you to not feel angry, to not believe that you're a spiritual failure, and to remove and to remove the excuse you're using for overeating?
Okay, yeah, that's so. Okay, so my case would be I'd have to walk on water, right? Because it's
well, not necessarily. I'm trying to direct you to create a goal that's related to this thought, spiritual failure.
Yeah.
So So the goal could be
sense,
simply, that I want to be a success. I want to be true to my spiritual true nature. I want to I want to be able to be in touch with and act from my highest guidance. So if you frame the goal so that it lines up with everything else you've put on the worksheet, and that, if the impossible situation could happen such that this goal were true, then there'd be no angry, there'd be no overeating, and there'd be no thought I'm a spiritual failure.
Okay.
So how would you like to word that goal to address those issues that you mapped out in your worksheet?
No, I like that one. I want to be true to my nature. I think that's what it has to do with. It's like, well, gee, I know I can do this, and I don't know why I keep hurting myself with overeating. I feel, and then the anger comes from, the striving and the goal setting. And what is my goal is really to work on myself, improve myself spiritually. So that anger comes from the disappointment.
It sounds like, because it resonated for you, that it would be good to put something in there about to willingly tune into and follow my highest guidance. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So the goal is, that's interesting, because in the past I always kept the goals fairly short, but I can write whole ideas in sentences. So it's not just if I have a desire from a person, like respect, but you're saying that you should really try to match them up into more of even a quasi-narrative, right?
Well, and it doesn't have to be long. It can be, my desire, the constructive result I want, is that I willingly tune into and follow my highest guidance. That could be your goal.
Okay.
For this one. Willingly tune into and follow my highest guidance.
Good. Okay.
the key here is not exactly what I'm saying. The key here is that I'm trying to construct it based on what you have said and the words you're using in the rest of this worksheet.
Right.
Because what we're looking at here, what we're dealing with is these words only have the meaning that our brain cells contain for them, and they resonate those meanings when we use them. So when you choose a goal that's in line with or using some of the words you've already pulled up in your framing out the worksheet so far, it's going to have that resonant energy that's most relevant. And then when you cancel that goal, that same relevant, resonant energy is going to show you different parts of your mind.
Okay.
So I wrote down the goal, my desire. I willingly tune into and follow my highest guidance.
Right.
And if I was willing to do that willingly and did that, I wouldn't be eating food to numb the pain and hide my guidance.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah,
so then,
no, that makes sense.
in each worksheet at some level, it asks us to remember our true nature as love. And in the 7-step one, that would be the next step where it says, I choose to focus on my essence as love. And when I do, and I bring my conscious awareness to that, it strengthens that energetically in everybody involved. So what we ask people to do in the support groups is do a little meditation to tap into the most loving memory you have.
Okay.
And breathe into it and strengthen the memory of a time when you were safe, when you were happy, when you felt competent, when you felt effective, whatever it is that brings that warm, loving energy awake in your heart space. And just breathe into those thoughts and memories from any time in your life. Could be a distant past, could be recent past. But breathe into that before we go on. So you're shifting the energy in your heart space from this anger or whatever the negative emotion is in this worksheet to that loving energy.
Okay.
Any luck?
Yeah, it's interesting because even as a child, let's say in let's say the safety of being around my grandmother, her food was also kind of heavy and toxic. I think there's a very strange pattern. There's a lot of confusion in my family around food. So where people weren't very warm or kind, food was kind of a, what's the word? Like a zone where people could just be jolly, but the rest of the atmosphere was pretty aggressive and unkind.
Okay.
And so even when food was served, it wasn't necessarily healthy. Like I would get headaches. So I actually remember my grandmother always being very loving and kind and attentive. And then I smiled to myself. I said, yeah, but her food was so off, you know. So there's a lot of confusion. I wasn't a person who really had that type of life.
All right, so when people do that, Mark, when people talk like that, I usually say, okay, choose a different happy, loving thought, one that isn't so wrapped up with the food. Some success you've had in your life, some trip to an amusement park that was a wonderful day, some walk in a forest preserve, choose a memory that when you bring it up resonates that loving, safe, happy, contented energy in you. And just breathe into it until you feel a shift in your energy. and let me know when you've gotten a shift.
Okay.
Did you get a positive shift?
Yes.
Okay.
I can feel it running up and down my chest.
Okay. So then the next part of this worksheet that I'm working on, I don't know where you'll find this on yours, but it says, when I'm upset, my perception is built out of corrupt data. It's an infallible alarm system. It lets me know. If I have a negative emotion, I can instantly know that whatever is showing up in my mind is built out of corrupt data. It's a very limiting picture, and it's at best built out of 9 bits of data when there's 10,000 brain cells firing and probably 20 trillion bits of information hitting my senses. And what's happening here is, when I hold a goal, it resonates, that replicating or repeating part of my mind. So by canceling my goal, that part of my mind collapses and gives me direct contact with whatever's in my mind that's been denied and dissociated. Because the denied and dissociated parts of my brain project and blame others for its content. So while I hold on to that loving energy that you just tapped into, and I keep it conscious, active, and present, I want to choose to collapse my mind's lies by willingly canceling my goal for myself to willingly tune into and follow my highest guidance. In the beginning, it seems weird, but we just do this. I cancel my goal to willingly tune into and follow my highest guidance.
Right.
Now, the reason for this is because it's a twofold reason. One is, why would I cancel that perfectly loving good goal? Well, because I'm the one who's creating my reality, and if I deserve to have it, why aren't I already creating it? There must be some part of me that doesn't believe I deserve to have it. And the other thing is, as long as I'm focusing on that goal and believing the pictures that my mind is showing me and its reasons for why I need to overeat or why I need to hide from my guidance, I won't be able to see what's hidden. So I cancel the goal temporarily so I can get access to the hidden part of my mind. And then the next part of this is, I want to invite something other than my conscious logical mind to assist me in this process. Because it's my conscious logical mind, every time I do it, that makes me think, you know what would be a good idea? Why don't you eat until you pass out or eat until you're sick? That's from my conscious logical mind. So it's not going to be able to help me here. Right. So we're asking something other than our conscious logical mind to assist us with this process. What's recommended is that you ask whoever you want, God, light, love. The ancient Aramaic term ruka dakucha means an elemental force specific to humans that everybody has access to. It's there to break off the effects of our errors in thought and guide us to truth and happiness if we just ask it to. So who or what do you want to ask to assist you with this?
Yeah, that's what I have on my sheet, the ruka dakucha.
All right. So I invite Ruka to incline me toward healing. I usually tell people, every time you see a little box in this worksheet, take a breath, put a check mark in the box. I ask Ruka to restore me to awareness of my newborn essence as love, to heal the denial that my brain is telling me that someone outside of me is causing this, and to heal my capacity to generate the emotion of anger, and to help me open a direct conscious relationship with and gently remove whatever is in my mind that's been denied and dissociated. And then we ask people to do a little meditation. Put your pen down. It's usually quite useful to close your eyes, breathe, and soften, and silently inside yourself repeat what I'm going to say out loud. Okay. Just do a little meditation and say, I cancel my need to be right. I cancel my need for anyone or anything to change, including myself. I specifically cancel my goal in this worksheet to willingly tune into and follow my highest guidance. I put my conscious, logical mind on the shelf for right now, and I ask to be shown the hidden part of my own mind that's actually creating my upset here. And then just breathe and soften. Put yourself in the most open, allowing space you can generate. And just watch what images come up. If an image of an earlier time in your life comes up, just notice, how old are you? Where are you? Who else is there? And what's happening? And just breathe. And it's perfectly okay if you go blank. And it's also perfectly okay if you think of things that don't seem to have any connection to this worksheet at all. Just breathe and soften and trust that anything that comes into your mind is going to be part of what you need to see to begin to heal here and move forward. Just breathe, just soften, and gently repeat. I cancel my need to be right. I cancel my need to make up another story.
I cancel my need to make up another story.
I ask to be shown the hidden part of my own mind.
I ask to be shown the hidden part of my own mind.
And just say it quietly. Don't say it out loud. And just put yourself in that open, allowing space. I cancel my need for anyone or anything to change. And I ask to be shown the hidden part of my own mind that's actually causing my anger here. And just breathe and watch what shows up in your mind until you feel something shift or fade, or you get an insight from an earlier event in your life, or you realize that it's just going to spin and go nowhere. If one of those three things happens, then take a breath, scan your body, and notice what's the strongest emotion or the strongest physical sensation you're aware of, and tell me what that is.
Well, to be honest, I feel, what's the word? I guess, to be honest, I feel hated by my parents.
Okay, so you're having a thought. You're having a thought that you were hated by your parents, and when you have that thought, what are you aware of in your body, either a physical sensation or an emotion?
Oh, I'm completely sad.
Okay, so then write down anywhere on that page or flip it over and write down, I feel sad, and notice where you feel the sadness in your body. And just make a note of where you're able to feel the physical sensations that you tie to sadness in your body. And write how strong that sadness is on a scale of 0 to 10. And then make a note that you have this thought, I feel I'm hated by my parents. And any other notes about what might have flashed in your mind when you were doing that little meditation and canceling the goal. Any images from any time in your life, just make the notes before we move on. Because when you have these kinds of things come to your mind, when you do a meditation like that, they're getting revealed from that part of your mind that you're not usually willing to look at. And if you move on with your day without making notes about it, they will most likely get hidden from your awareness again. So let me know when you're ready to continue.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Now take a breath and let it go slowly and scan your body and notice what you're feeling most, physically or emotionally. Is the sadness still there? Is it shifting or changing?
This sadness was kind of a whole body experience, and it's slowly moving up towards my chest and heart.
Okay. So in this 7-step worksheet, we ask to write, what would be here in your 6A would be sadness and feeling it as a whole body experience. And what you would write in 6B is, I feel my parents hated me. And any images or interaction patterns that you remember that feed that conclusion, I would flip the page over and write it on the back. And then 6C says, I ask to be shown a time when I have not fulfilled this goal of willingly tuning into and following my highest guidance. And I would just throw that open to Ruka as you move forward to give you either preemptive or, early warning that you're about to repeat that pattern. Or show you a time in the past where you had a highest guidance and you thought, I can't do that. I won't survive, the rejection, or I won't survive the rage of this person or that person, or I'm not good enough to live into that highest guidance. So when I make that 6C, when I write there, I ask to be shown a time when I have not fulfilled living up to this goal, I'm opening myself to be shown other things moving forward. Does that make sense?
Well, what I'll do is I'll print out the sheet. I'm taking notes, and then I'll redo the sheet. So it hopefully does make sense, and if it doesn't, it's okay. I'll call you back later or tomorrow.
Well, and then there's the archives. You can go back and listen again. But this worksheet then says, I want to commit to living a human life, right, as love. I want to commit to being able to be consciously aware of my true nature. And to do that, I want to do a mass canceling of all the times I've ever wanted anybody else to tune into and follow their highest guidance. And then I just take a breath and I commit to that. And then this last step in this worksheet is to create a loving goal. So the goal that I had was for food or for myself, and it was tied to all of these angry and upsetting energies. And now I want to choose something that is time limited that I can do, and I'll know when it's done, that will assist me in this process. So we usually ask people to read the sentence that says, remember, the principle of the universe is that in order to give something, I first have to have possession of the original. And so if I want to have rage, if I want to have vengeance, if I want to have hatred or judgment, I have to hold those energies in my energy system, and they are disintegrative. They are counterproductive. So I'm going to be grateful for this opportunity to heal. I'm going to choose to honor truth, and I'm going to choose perfect love for myself, and I'm going to choose a short time-limited goal that I can accomplish either before I go to bed tonight or tomorrow during the day. What would you consider to be a useful goal? Oftentimes when people are just starting, we have it be something like one or two more worksheets. Like you could do a worksheet on the sadness. You could do a worksheet on the thought, my parents hated me. You could do a worksheet or two on that, and that would be a good goal for this worksheet. What are your thoughts?
I No. I'll definitely repeat this worksheet. My parents hated me, the sadness. Yeah, I have a lot. I have a lot of old worksheets. I have a box of several hundred, so I do them quite often. It's just with this one, I don't know. It seemed like a big topic, so I thought I would call you. But yeah, no, that's a great goal.
All right, and then if you take a breath and scan your body, what level of upset would you say you have now, relative to the anger at first? How angry do you feel?
Well, I don't feel angry at all, actually.
All right,
even
and
when
then
scanning, I thought.
Then I would put a 1 or a 0 in there, and then I would say, for my own purposes, if I were doing this, I would rate my sadness and get the intensity of that and write that down before it fades, and that would be where I would begin working for my next worksheet, having that status check on how intense the sadness is.
Right.
And then you can decide whether or not you felt this was a successful worksheet.
Right. Okay. And this is the latest worksheet he has on his site. I think I had it. I guess when he did these about 6 years ago. These new 7-step. Is that the one emotion worksheet? What was his innovation? I'm looking for it now because I don't actually have.
Yeah, this is
the
do one emotion at a time, the 7-step worksheet.
Okay.
The bottom of the one I'm reading from says it's from 2017.
2017.
-3.
Okay.
It's like the third revision from 2017.
Okay. I'll go to his website.
So,
thank you.
Questions, comments, other things we can do to support you today?
No, it was really excellent. I really appreciate it. It's a really tough topic, and I took hopefully good notes, and I think this really helped me a lot. And, yeah, it's pretty intense. So, thank you, Dr. Tim.
Well, I'm glad you feel it was useful, and shortly after the show today, it'll be available in the archive if there's something you want to review and beef up those notes. And I appreciate it, and I look forward to supporting you if possible in the future.
Great. Very kind.
All right. Take care. Blessings.
You too. Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
So our call-in number is 563-999-3581, and we have just about 10 minutes left. The second hour today will be a recording for Michael and Jeannie, and we have 10 minutes before that happens, so we don't need to have much of a transition. So how can we support you? What is on your mind? Or what questions or comments might you have about the worksheet that Mark just did? The biggest thing about those worksheets for me, when I have somebody like that present a worksheet, the single biggest thing for me to improve the results I get on worksheet is to make sure that the goal is lined up with all the other words that I have on the worksheet about my thoughts and my emotions. And the key to that is because it's an energy that's going to resonate through me, and the meaning of those words, the only relevant meaning for those words is what's in my memory, my consciousness. Michael, at one point in time, when he was doing he calls it getting downloads about this process and learning about it. At one point he was talking about the goal, when you cancel it, opens a keyway, Keyway, a keyway to the part of my mind that's actually holding the material that's generating these negative emotions in me. And so it's the relevance to the importance of the word is its vibrational connection to the meaning that's being resonated in my mind. One of the more powerful demonstrations of that was I had a gentleman in my office. He was probably 67, 68 years old, and he was talking about the loss of a friend. And he says every time he thinks of his friend, he's filled with deep sadness. And I said, well, I'd be happy to support you in doing some worksheets to dismantle that. And he said, I don't want to get rid of that. And I said, oh, okay. Well, then perhaps you and I have very different meanings in our minds for the word sadness. I said, what is it you're referring to when you say every time you think of this person, you're filled with deep sadness? And he said, well, every time I think of this person, I'm filled with a warm feeling and tingling down my spine, and I remember our wonderful, all the benefits of our friendship. And I said, oh, okay, well, then I wouldn't want you to get rid of that. I wouldn't call that sadness, and I wouldn't try to dismantle it. He said, you wouldn't? I said, no, that's not what's in my mind attached to the word sadness. And so, Michael talks about it, and the Anil Seth video helps us with some of the more recent neuroscience about this. But the truth is, every one of us, Michael Singer talks about this extensively, nobody has any idea how you see the world and what meaning things have. No one has experienced the world the way you have, not even close. We pretend, we make assumptions that, when I say, oh boy, I love that movie, it was so heartwarming, if anybody else says, yeah, I loved it too, it's a toss-off. We think, oh, they liked it like I did. But in truth, they might have liked very different parts of it or liked it for different reasons, or they might actually be one of those people who wants to gain favor with me and they're just saying they liked it when they didn't really like it and maybe didn't even see it. So the meaning of the word is not contained in the word. The meaning of the word is contained, as Michael Rice would call it, in the brain cells of the person who hears that vibration that we call the word, who receives that vibration. And it is why, because everything is vibrations, it's why I get so much better benefit in my worksheets when I make sure that we call them goals in this worksheet, when my goal is tied to the same words that I've used in the earlier part of the worksheet to map out my emotion and the thought I'm using to create that emotion and the dynamic that I'm experiencing through my perception that my mind is telling me is responsible for creating my emotion. And what we know in this work is that there's nothing outside of me that's responsible for creating that emotion in me. And so the energy I'm looking for, the awareness I'm looking for is inside my consciousness, and it's sitting in there keyed to the meaning that I have been taught and that I have decided to give these thoughts and these interactions, and that's the only thing that's generating my upset. And if I can become aware of that and this law of resonance and how it's so important for me to use awareness of resonance to get in touch with, to become aligned with those parts of my mind that are actually causing my upset, that most often I'm hiding from myself. I can use that law of resonance. I can use just the way the world works to my advantage, to help me overcome the fears I have about looking at the parts of my consciousness that I've been hiding from myself. So, our call-in number is 563-999-3581. There are 3 minutes left before I absolutely need to move on and start an audio file for Michael and Jeannie. And so I will take a look here. We have we have an audio file we're going to play. Let's see if we can find this one. And Michael and Jeannie will be back on Monday. But in the meantime, I'm going to try and play an audio file for you today for them. And again, tomorrow. It'd be great if I could find the one that, okay, here's the one that Jeannie has asked for. It says Laura Coughlin, 5/15/2018. So here's a replay for the next hour, and I'll be back again tomorrow. If you have comments or questions about the work we did today, or your own comments or questions about something else, come on back tomorrow. And in the meantime, enjoy this pre-recorded hour from May 15th, 2018. I'll remind us all that we come from love. We're made of this stuff we call love. We actually are love, and everything else is false.